Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today I have Jeremy James on the show, and he's going to talk about fitness. He's going to share his personal goals about why he got into fitness, what it takes to continue fitness, and how fitness correlates with mental health. Get you something to drink and get you a snack, and come on back and stay tuned. Jeremiah, welcome to our show. Why don't we start off with you just telling me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just go from there.
All right, I'm Jeremiah James. I'm not sure what all to go ahead and tell you. I mean, I feel like there's so much I could tell you. One of the main things is I'm a personal trainer. I'm also a group fitness instructor, as well as I've dabbled in a lot of different fields. I've also I'm an indoor cycle instructor.
Nice.
Boot camp certified, battle rope level 1 certification. I'm precision nutrition certified as well. So I have a good amount of little different certifications and whatnot.
All right. Very impressive. Okay. So what motivated you to start your own personal fitness journey?
Well, I got to bring the story back a bit. So when I went ahead and I was going to school for a while, I had a career in mind. I was doing a career that I loved immensely. I was a lead manager of a movie theater, and I made a good amount of money. I was very happy. I enjoyed what I did, but then they had a whole turnabout with the company, and they let go pretty much all of us that were there. So about 40, 50 of us got let go within the first 90 days. And then from there, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I kept taking classes here and there in school. And then I was working 3 jobs at the time, all at once.
Wow, okay.
I was smoking 2 packs a day of cigarettes. I was drinking every day.
I was there.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it wasn't fun. It was a blast. I was also part of a punk rock band as well. We toured around. We were working on our first album. And then one day as I was leaving the bar that I worked at, I followed an ambulance all the way up to my house, and I witnessed them working on my father, and he passed away. So he passed away right there in front of us. We followed the ambulance to the hospital. They said there's nothing they could do. And it was because he had diabetes, and he had a heart condition, and he had all these different other problems. And I was just so in shock and awe because he changed his diet, and he was working out a little bit and everything else.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think that would happen. A lot of the men in my family die really young. So I was very taken back, and I had to decide, what am I going to do from here? So while I was still in college, I decided, hey, I'm going to take a couple fitness classes and see if that speaks to me, or just to get myself a little healthier. And from there, I found a new passion, and I found a new love. And so that started my fitness journey. And I got my biggest a little bit before that. I gained to about 364 was my heaviest I ever was. And then after that,
I could not imagine that. I seriously, I couldn't imagine that at all. Wow.
I was a big boy, but I mean, I'm 6'3", so it was kind of evenly distributed, but it was a big deal. And then after I started finding out that, I went to my first Idea World Fitness Convention with school.
Yeah.
And we all went as students, and it literally was just so mind-blowing and opening that there were so much more things out there I could do with it. And then I moved to Sacramento because I was living in Carson City, Nevada, and I started working one fitness job after another, and I've been doing it ever since, and it's now my passion and my love. So,
wow. Very, very impressive, man. Very impressive. Wow, it's a lot. So why do you think that a lot of people? Because I'm gonna speak on myself. You know, I grew up in a family who we was not exposed to fitness at all. We ate a whole lot of what you call soul food. We ate a lot of pork, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, just anything under the spectrum of being unhealthy, in my opinion. And it was only when I got introduced to a good friend of mine who is also a personal trainer, and he slowly but surely started to introduce me into the world of fitness. I can't lie, I was a little bit intimidated at first because I'm like, oh, these guys are big and they're fit. But he really took his time with me and really explained to me how this was my own personal journey and not to look at them but focus on my personal fitness goals and things like that. And so from there, that's kind of how I was exposed to it. But you know, it was hard in the beginning because it was something that I wasn't used to. I had to take time out of my schedule, you know, had to get accustomed to my body making changes and things like that. And but obviously in the end it paid off, and it continues to pay off. But it is sort of difficult when you first get introduced to something like that if you're not exposed to it at a young age.
I was not exposed to it at a young age at all. I mean, my parents, they signed me up for like little league and all that other stuff that I felt like it was a very generic thing to do for all kids my age. But my family was focused on, my dad was played bagpipes in the pipe band. So I was raised in a pipe band, learned how to play drums for my dad's rock bands and drums for the pipe band, and became a drum major. And theater was huge. Both my parents were theater majors in school. And so one thing I got taught when I was a very young age is you have to look the part. If you want to
Yeah.
be funny, you can be chubby and you can be funny, or you can be like goofy looking and funny, or if you
Yeah.
be the hero of your story, you have to look the way a hero looks. And so that means
Yes.
built right. You have to have those good genetics and that good look. And I grew so fast. I was 6 foot in sixth grade. I grew so fast. I was just lurpy and weird looking and was very clumsy, did not have control over my body whatsoever. And so I was like, oh, I can be funny. And so I
Yeah.
just fixed that and decided I'm going to be funny. And so I did that and I accepted like my role in life.
Yeah.
I can be chubby, I can be funny. It doesn't matter because I'm funny. That's who I am. And so when I had to make that like mental change, going, hey, no, I want to be fitness and everything else, I was like, well, I got to change my look. I got to change everything else. And then I found out, no, I don't. I just have
Yeah.
to instead find my own way to go ahead and push that through and forward. And so that changed a lot for me. My only little introduction to fitness when I was finally in high school was my theater teacher made us do physical trainings, different big athletic trainings to go ahead and work on things. And then I also was in jujitsu in high school. Instead of doing a normal PE class, I took jujitsu and I did ROTC and all that stuff. And that was a little bit of it, but that was the most I ever got. So when I
Yeah.
went in to college, taking all these fitness classes, I already was well older than all my classmates, and they'd already been lifting, and they're a lot younger than me and bigger than me and fitter than me. And so I felt like I was playing catch up the whole time. But the thing is that none of them ever knew what it was like to be unhealthy. None of them knew what it was like to be not fit. All of them, they've been playing football forever. They've been doing sports and doing stuff forever, their whole lives. And so for me, coming from a perspective of, no, I love to sit on a couch and eat Taco
Yeah.
Bell, watch TV. Like that's me.
Yeah.
And everything I was fed my whole life was either from a microwave or a box. Like my
Yeah.
parents didn't cook. That was it. Microwave or a
Yeah.
box. That's all we ate. So
Yeah.
I didn't.
Wow. It's interesting that you said that the people that you was in class with did not experience a form of being unhealthy. Do you feel like people like us who come from an unhealthy background, do you think that give us more motivation to stay fit and be faithful with our fitness goals and our fitness journey?
I think it really, really does. Because the biggest thing for us is like for them, when they start to slide back, they're like, oh, I'll get it back. I'll get it back.
Yeah.
I didn't have to work this hard to get to here. But for us, we sit there and we know how bad it can be. We know how easily we can slide back. We know our genetics. We know what we like.
Yeah.
So having to fight that on a regular basis to go ahead and grow and push beyond it, I mean, it's a struggle all the time. I got an 8-year-old here at home. And there's
Yeah.
sometimes he's eating a bowl of cereal, and I'm like, I would murder someone to chow down that bowl of cereal right now.
Yeah.
Sitting there eating my, vegetables and stuff, just looking at it, going, man, that just looks amazing. So
Yeah.
I feel like for us, it's more because we can remember it. It's so fresh in our minds, and also for us, we sit there and we look at us going, we've been there, and we just don't want to go back to it. And so
Yeah.
once that hits you, and that's always on your mind, that helps keep fueling that fire.
Yes, absolutely. So earlier you named several things that you train people in. What is your training philosophy?
So my training philosophy, um, it it's so different because I feel like having a solid philosophy on fitness that I used to have when I first started to what I
Yeah.
have now has evolved and changed. And I think that's so important that your ideas of what you want to do and how you want to go about everything with fitness needs to change as you change. Because for me, I'm doing a ton of lifting right now for my goals and everything else. But there was a time beforehand where I was only focused on running and endurance,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And so I believe your fitness goals need to mark where you are in your life, even in that day. Because there is a time of day where I'll have a client come into me and they're ready, they're excited, they're jacked to
Yeah.
do this, and they want to hit it with all they got. Other days I see a client that struggles to get in there, and they look at me and go, I'm gonna half-ass this. This is gonna be a slow day for me. It's gonna be chill. And I'm going
Yeah.
to tell me why. Because maybe it does need to be that for you. Maybe that does. Or maybe I need to push you back to where you need to be because you
Yeah.
need to go, hey, you know what? He's right, and I'm going to be back, and I'm going to be feeling better with this. So I feel like your workouts and your philosophy on how I need to go ahead and do this should never stay solid. It should always be flowing and changing with you. Because if you stick with a certain philosophy and stick with these certain rules, once they break apart or they can't hold you up anymore, that's when you fall back down, and that's when you go backwards instead of going forwards. So I feel
Yeah.
like my philosophy is always just to be like water and just let it flow and follow it where you need to. Because
Oh,
that will always put you on top and put you into the best place you can be when you're working out.
yeah. I like that. I like how you laid that out because, and I do agree with you on that because as we grow, we are all in different places in life. In other words, as we grow older, our life change. And sometimes some of us get married, kids. Some of us get a 9 to 5 that is extending beyond the 5 o'clock, so our life change, and sometimes we do have to adapt to our fitness goals or fitness lifestyle based on what's going on in our lives. I think sometimes it's hard for people to make that change, because I have a friend like that. Actually, he is so um, he's one of those people that it's like this, and everything else gotta revolves around the way I wanted to be as far as at the gym or whatever. And it's so hard for him to make that change. It's really hard. And I try to talk to him about getting acclimated to different situations that come in his life. Get used to that, you get accustomed to that, but also allow your personal, not just fitness goals, your personal goals to flourish above that, because your goals are something that you want to eventually obtain in life. It doesn't mean that they have to stop because of a situation come about in your life, so to speak.
Yeah,
You
because if
know,
you get too structured and too strict with it, when you have that injury, when you get sick, when something else in
yeah,
your family comes up, then that's so detrimental to you. And you can't be afraid to fail. You have to accept that and
right,
embrace it, because I've
exactly.
been injured. I've had a spine surgery. I've had damage both of my knees,
Yeah,
shoulder
wow,
injuries, all these different injuries. And every single time you have to learn how to adapt and move on
yeah,
and keep going. You can't just let it kick you down and then stop. And that some people have this strict view of how they should look, strict view of how they should,
yeah,
how every workout should turn out. But
yes,
some days I have bad lifting days. Other days I have great lifting days. And some days my life gets in the way when I'm trying to get my good lifts in, or life gets in the way when I'm trying to make an amazing playlist for one of my cycle classes or something. And I'm like, oh, this is so prime. And then next thing I know, everything starts to fall apart. And you just got to be able to put it all back together as much as you can and just keep pushing on with what you got. And it's one of those things where you see the people that really flourish because they're able to be like, I tore my bicep. Cool. I'm going to work legs then for the next 6 months until this heals. You're like, oh my gosh, like that's the intensity. When someone gets hurt and then they're like, well, I just can't do anything anymore. And you're like, no, you can still, you have the whole rest of your body, you can still work. I had one amazing client. She was just on a great goal. She was eating great. She was changing everything. She had lost about 80 pounds. And then she was doing one move and did it incorrectly once. And she snapped one of her tendons in her leg. And it was devastated. And we were right in the middle of a big program that we were doing with her. And what she did, she came in the wheelchair, and I still worked her out every day. And I'm like, that is the person that is going to change. That's the person that's going to reach their goals. And because when you're like that, you're also going to be successful in everything else in your life. It's not just fitness. It's also work. It's family and all these other things. When someone in your family gets sick, do you just wash them off and go, well, I can't talk to them anymore? No, you got to change how you go about things. And those are the cool things that you learn in the gym and you learn during fitness, especially about yourself.
Exactly. Do you train people outside the gym as well, but just only in the gym?
I train.
Hello, Christina.
I train people. I train people right now, mainly just inside the gym. I do a little bit of training outside of the gym, but not too much. I like to make sure I have that umbrella of a gym to go ahead and train people. But I feel like so much of the time when I'm trying to like add other things to clients or friends or family members, that I can go ahead and make that smaller impacts that'll make a larger impact later.
Yeah, that's good. Years ago, I have a friend, an associate. I'm gonna say an associate because I haven't talked to him in like years. But I was going to work out in Fitness Evo in the Atonements area, and I met a guy, whatever. Oh my God, he was so passionate about it, so passionate. And so one of the things I wanted to do with him, I wanted to assist him with getting his own business. I was gonna front the cash. Look, you get the clients, we'll work everything else out. But he wasn't ready. But what he thought he wasn't ready, but to me, he was actually ready because he was so passionate. He had the clients and he was sharing some personal things with me as to why he wanted to disconnect from the place he was at. And so, it was like, oh, I tried, but he wasn't, I just felt like he needed that motivation. And so I think he didn't really believe in his ability to thrive above what he was doing, for lack of a better term. Now he had the passion to motivate other people and get them started and stuff like that. But, he didn't see the vision for himself beyond what he was doing. And so maybe like a year later, he came back to me. I was like, look, I'm on something else right now. And I felt bad, but it was just a one-time deal. So what advice can you give to somebody who wants to kind of, they got the certifications, they got the experience, but they want to venture out and start their own business in fitness? What advice can you give them if that was something they wanted to do?
Well, my advice to a lot of people, especially if they're looking into getting into that, is you need to first have a solid foundation of where you want to go ahead and see that going and see everything. Because one of the biggest things is some people go, I have this great idea and this is going to be amazing. I'm going to put this all together. And then they take too much on at once. And so you have to make sure you're well connected. Having people that go ahead and they know how to go ahead and rock out better things with their like, oh, I know these other great trainers. I know these other people that are great at this and great at that. You have to have all those connections together to go ahead and make that successful. The big problem you see a lot of is someone hops in and like, oh, I'm going to find all these people now. No, you need to find all these people before you start.
Right, exactly.
Find those people with those passions and those loves, and that they're all in and you're all in, then you're not going to fail. But when you're the only one trying to carry a torch and everyone else is just there for a paycheck, it's not going to happen. So you have to find other people that see that vision with you or through your eyes, and they can help you make that because that's the biggest thing. And that's been a struggle, I think, for almost everyone in our industry, is finding someone that's so like-minded. And I've met people that have found that 100%, and they do amazing things, and they make the whole world change. But I've also seen people where they're like trying to drive that passion with other people. They're like, no, I don't agree. And so when you have too many people going in two different roads, it doesn't work out. You all have to be on the same ship or the same location. So that's the biggest thing I would ever encourage for someone.
That's exactly right. Good advice. Good advice. How do you think, or do you think there's a direct correlation with fitness and mental health? Do you think that fitness can improve one's mental health?
I think 110% they're completely connected, because when you sit there, and they've done studies, and this is really cool. We used to have to do it in my, because I went to school for this and everything else, and they would literally be teaching us, and they're like, all right, stop, everyone go 10 laps. And we'd do 10 stair laps and everything else, and then we'd come back and we're all sweating, and we'd all be sitting there and huffing and puffing, and they're like, and then we're going to go over everything that's going to be on the test. And we would all have it memorized. We all have it synced. And I've had days where I've felt completely destroyed, and I sit there and go, what am I going to do? And I'm just freaking out, and I feel like the whole world's crashing down on me, and I start to have all these horrible thoughts. I drop down and I start doing push-ups, so I can't do push-ups anymore. And then at the end of that, I feel better. At the end of that, I'm a little more clear. And so I think having fitness is just so incredibly important for every aspect of that life, because there's so many different threads of fitness, of environmental, economy, and all these other things have so much to do with your mental health, but they all also go back to, can my body handle this? Because if your body can't handle that stress, your body can't find ways to deal with that. And when you add exercise into it, your body finds a way. So going out, running a few miles, going and doing some lifting, going and doing even yoga, even though I'm not the biggest fan, whatever you need to do to go ahead and get that little extra movement in, to get that, so it can help. You're focusing on what is the most important thing, is keeping this thing, your whole body in sync. Then your brain can go ahead and take a minute to catch up. Because sometimes, I've seen people, I used to work at Easter Seals, work on therapy pool, and I've worked with people on all different kinds of spectrums and all different kinds of mental abilities, physical abilities, and whatnot. And working with all of them, seeing them at the beginning and at the end of a class, or at the beginning of one of my sessions, the end of the session, it's so different. Being able to see people change their moods, change their way they're doing things, and just as simple as working with someone that can barely walk and they're able to take laps in the pool, and then they get back in their chair and they're like, oh, and the world just seems like it's so much more open. So I feel like it has so much to do with each other. So I feel like for mental health, I 100% think that physical fitness, a routine, is so incredibly important.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you on that too. I know I've had friends who go to the gym and they would come home and then, they feeling good, and especially when it comes to putting on clothes, they feel like, and then even if you got, set fitness goals for yourself, like I know most people, if they're trying to hit a target weight based off maybe it's a birthday, maybe it's a wedding, maybe it's whatever it may be, it makes you feel good when you start to see those results, and that does affect you mentally, So what about health? I mean, I know you talked a little bit earlier about your dad, but do you think that, because I say like this, most of the time when you go and get a physical exam and things like that, you're going to almost always hear the doctor tell their patient to do some type of form of exercise. I mean, that's kind of like the package deal if we want to have not only good mental health, but good physical health as well.
I feel like it's just so incredibly important to not only have for the mental health aspects and everything else, and yeah, it's cool because everyone wants to look like a supermodel or look like someone on TV or anything else. But I mean, when you're able to sit there and be like, hey, but what's most important? What's my biggest why? And your biggest why could be, oh, I can actually hang out and dance with my girl, or I can pick up my child and lift them up onto my shoulders. that is different for everyone to see. But I mean, honestly, when you feel better and your body's in a better shape, then everything else literally kind of falls into place like little Jenga blocks. So when we're sitting there going, oh man, I need to work on my heart and that ticker, or I need to work on everything else. When I was going through all of my things, watching my father pass away, and I was working so many jobs, I was literally running on caffeine. And I went into the doctor, and this was in 2012 when my father passed. And I went into the doctor, and he diagnosed me with hypertension, and
Yeah.
as pre-diabetic. And he's like giving me all these lists of things that my father didn't get until he was in his 40s. And I'm getting told all this now, and I'm in my 20s, and I'm just going, what is happening? Are you kidding me? And so for me, going from being on all these heart medications and all this other stuff to me being able to be like, no, I can run 8 miles in 100-degree weather. I can lift weights now. I can do all these other things. Once all those changes started being made, I still look in the mirror and I'm not happy with what I see. But that's one of the things I think is a great gift, because I also know that I will always have this little drive in the back of my head, this little push. And, that kind of thing, to go ahead and be like, hey, I'm not on blood pressure medication anymore. I'm not on these things anymore. I can see that scale moving. I know that I will be able to pick up my stepson and hang out with my future wife and do things all around the world, because I have that in my goals. And so me being able to keep those going the whole time, knowing that the fitness is going to allow me to do that, that's even the bigger push.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. What do your diet consist of?
So right now, my diet is in the morning, I do 4 whole eggs, 1 ounce of almonds, and that's breakfast. And then lunch is 6 ounces of chicken. I do 6 ounces of chicken, 4 to 6 ounces of sweet potatoes or yams. And then also I do 4 ounces of cauliflower. And then that's just lunch. And then dinner, 6 ounces of asparagus, 6 ounces of ground beef, 4 ounces of sweet potato. And then after my workouts, I have a protein shake and a banana. And then before bed, I have another protein shake and 3 rice cakes.
Okay. So it's important that a good diet is coupled with your fitness goals if you want to be successful in reaching your goals.
It's 100. It's so incredibly important. Once you start, like, because literally working out, I feel like to me is one of the easiest parts of the whole thing. It's the eating well that's a struggle, especially when you come from a home where you don't eat well. Like my father, when he was told you have to eat better, and the doctor just handed him a list of foods. You can eat these foods. Eat these foods. So my dad went, okay, it says fish. All right, I'm gonna eat fish. Juan John Silver's, that's fish. It says to eat more vegetables. Cool, I have a microwavable meal that has a lot of vegetables. And that, to him, he was making these big, amazing changes because he wasn't doing those before. But he didn't make them fresh. He didn't decide to go ahead and like, oh, I need to cook this a certain way. I need to make this a certain way. Instead, he was still getting all those preservatives and everything else. So the knowledge, just in general, knowledge of how to eat healthy and make healthy choices changes so much. And I'm always so disgusted by all the big fad diets that always come out. And everyone's like, oh, I'm doing this diet, I'm doing that diet. It's not that they're bad. It's just that they don't work for everyone. And I hate it when someone hops on one of those and then they're like, oh no, because this is good. This is good for me. It says I can have this. But you're not having it the way it's intended to be had on the list, or you're not doing everything else that's intended to go with this diet. So when you have to make sure, you got to get the knowledge to go ahead and put all that together. And having that knowledge of nutrition is so important, even if you're not going to make the healthiest choices all the time, but having that knowledge. So when it is time, you need to eat today. What should I have? Should I go have this, or should I go have this? And then you can judge it and you have that knowledge to make the better choices. So that's incredible, good. Especially to go with physical fitness.
That's good. That's good. I have one more question for you because we run out of time. If someone is watching this program and they are overweight, but they're afraid to take that first step, and they just like, I don't know, there's people out there that looks better than me. I don't know if I measure up. What advice would you give them to take their first step for their own personal fitness journey?
So my biggest thing for a first step, I say this all the time to my clients. I get clients that have worked with me, lost a ton of weight, come back and they were bigger than before. And they get frustrated and they're like, well, I'm going to start on Monday. That is the biggest lie ever. Never start on Monday. Know when you start, as soon as you feel it, as soon as you think those thoughts. Because you know what? Oh, I don't like how I look. You know, I got to ease into it. Oh, you don't. Because guess what? There's someone else out there that's also trying to ease into it who looks worse than you, who's doing worse than you. What you do with fitness, it's not dip your toe in, because we all know that takes forever to get used to the water. You get deep in and you do a big cannonball and you jump right in. Okay?
Yeah.
You're sitting there going, hey, I'm going to go grocery shopping today. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I feel. Fine. You stay away from the inside of the store. You only shop on the outside wall and you get all the good freshness that you can. You know, you make big changes and those make the biggest waves. You know, you're telling yourself, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure I look at myself in the mirror naked and be like, all right, this is what I'm going to change. And you just hop into it. I'm the biggest person to ever say, never try to slowly tiptoe your way into something. Just jump. Just have it all in. Lay your cards out on the line because you only got one life. What are you waiting for? Why you're going to wait for your life to start Monday? You could start your new life today.
That's good advice, man. That's good advice. When we run out of time, you see how quick time goes when you're doing this? Yeah. But I do want to thank you, man, for just taking the time out of your busy day and just kind of sharing your personal journey and just information about how people can get started, man. We will be doing another show next month. We kind of talked about that, so I'm excited about this. And this show that we're going to do is going to be a little bit different because I've never done anything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see which way it goes. So
I'm excited, and I'm thrilled. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled, happy. I love them. I think it's the greatest time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man. Well, thank you once again, and you have a great weekend. And we'll be talking soon for sure.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Well,
thank you for watching this episode of Mental Health Matters. If you enjoyed this particular show, if you would like a DVD copy of the show, or if you would like to be a guest on our show, please dial 916-366-4600. Thank you.